You are listening to An Environment for Change, an 8-part series looking at some of the many people in the Mount Alexander Shire who are working to combat climate change and promote sustainable living. These are local people who are working towards changing our habits so we can all move forward into a vibrant, healthy and sustainable future. In this series, we'll hear from local farmers, Boomerang Bags, Repair Cafe, local environment groups, activists and concerned citizens. Environment. Change. This week on An Environment for Change, I'm speaking with Mel and Rachel again. You might remember that a couple of weeks ago I spoke with them at the start of July about doing Plastic-Free July. This is our end of month reconvene. We have come together again to have a chat about how the month went and whether or not it was easy, hard, and what surprised us. So it's been a month and we've been attempting to live plastic free to various degrees for the month. Let's start with just sort of like the immediate impressions of how it went for you guys. I know we had a few things came up last time that were challenges for each of us. Like Mel was going to try and figure out plastic-free wine, talk some local winemaker into into doing barrels, and I was going to see how possible it was to still get cheese. Rachel, I think your challenge was just trying to negotiate the family and figure out how to balance your decision against all of their stuff. So who wants to go first?
Yes, the month started off quite well actually. I did have a few kind of moments where I was in a supermarket, which I generally try not to experience too much, but for sort of staple things, and I'm walking around going, there's actually nothing in here, pretty much, you know. So it was just looking at how do I get cheese, I haven't had coconut yogurt all month. But I have had other things. Like in the end, I think the second trip I went, okay, we're just getting cheese because everyone's going to go, where's the cheese after a while? So there was a lot of little incidents like that. But then... So
you got plastic wrap cheese?
I got plastic wrap cheese and I sort of went, well, it's really thin plastic, you know, trying to justify it. So it's not like a big, hard container, you know, that's just going to get tossed out or whatever, or put into recycling and not actually recycled for years and years if it does. I had I did a few different things that I hadn't done before. Like I went to the butcher and I took my own bag, and actually Temu, my son, went in and he did that, and the bag, he was in there for ages and he came out and he said the bag split.
Oh no.
When they were trying, I was like, oh my god, you just wouldn't believe it. Like it was a really sturdy pasta bag and everything anyway. But they were happy to do that. That was really great.
Which butcher was that?
That was Clifford's.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because they're the one down towards Campbell's Creek.
Yes.
Yep. And they were great for me as well.
Yep.
Because I went for dog food.
Okay.
And I took my own plastic containers and they weighed it and then they put the food in and, you know.
Great.
And they also gave me dog bones in a paper bag instead of a plastic bag. Because I was like, can you give me a bone? And they're like, oh, well, we don't. I don't know, it wouldn't fit in the container, you haven't brought a bucket, I don't know how you can transport this. Yep. And then they're actually using paper bags now as carry bags, and they just put the bones in there, and and I put them in my fridge that way, and it was fine.
They did that for me too. I got lamb shanks and sausages, and they were totally fine, and you know, just got home and then put them into the little glass dishes I have. And then I also did that at went to the little IGA and I handed over my plastic containers, and they happily at the deli put my meat into that, so that was all great. And then but they just have like a tiny little thing, so it's wrapped in paper, but they don't use a plastic bag, they use like a little thin lined plastic on one side, so it's not too bad. But because I went to another butcher and they said, everything's already pre-wrapped in plastic, so we'd be taking it out of a plastic bag to give it to you in your container. And I was like, okay, don't worry. And then I went to the Maxi IGA and they said, no, company policy, we're not allowed to put things into your containers, which is kind of fair enough because of food contamination. And if we come back and say I got food poisoning, then, you know, whose fault is it really? But it's nice to know that there are shops in town who are prepared to do that. So you just start going to those ones. Go to the... It's not called Madden's anymore, is it? The IGA on Barker Street.
No, they changed
owners, but everyone knows.
IGB.
And Clifford's Butcher. And the other thing, while we're on the topic of meat and things, is I went to the pet food supplier in Chewton, on the main road, and they were great too. They said, can you leave your container? And then a week later I went back and got my containers. I took 3 or 4 in and got different stuff, and then I've put them in the freezer, and so they were great about it too. And they do that for a lot of people apparently. They'll fill it with their whatever your chosen pet food is. So I like that, because that was a big dilemma for me, because as a vegetarian, I don't like handling that stuff anyway. So I don't want it to be as simple a process as possible, getting the animal food. And what else, Rachel, for you?
What else? The takeaway thing, that was great. There was only one. We were down in Geelong one day during the holidays, and we went out for dinner, and then afterwards we had heaps of food left over. Well, not heaps, but a bit of food left over. We had laksa left over, and we took a takeaway container, so I felt like a little bit bad. But then again, I was with my family again, and they were like, oh, come on, have it tomorrow. So and I think it was mainly just not thinking ahead. So I tried as much as possible to kind of plan the day, and I've now got my bags permanently in the car with jars, and making much more of an effort to source things out of prepackaged and going water green goes. So
it's great if you've got it in the car, because I think then if you just are on your way somewhere and you go, oh, I forgot that thing, and you can swerve in for that last minute thing, then you've got something ready to do that with.
Yeah, I think that's critical
because you can't plan your whole day.
No, you can't.
It just doesn't quite work.
Yeah, that's definitely a key to it, is having those there. So I've got my basket, and then my bags for the groceries, and then the extra kind of
your reusable cloth bags.
Reusable bags and
great
jars and things. So it went reasonably well. I was actually pretty happy with the effort.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Was there anything that really caught you by surprise and you went, oh, damn?
It caught me well, actually, so toothpaste, we ran out of toothpaste, and I went to get, I think the Weleda one, they do in a metal tube. But I didn't end up going there because the day that we needed it, I didn't have time to do another stop.
Where do you get that from?
I think the health food shop on Barker Street did stock it. They did years ago. So I really struggled to find a non-plastic container for toothpaste, and then I looked up, and we were planning to make it, and we even had the whole conversation in the car one day. I was reading out recipes to the family, and they were like, oh, that sounds disgusting, and then the kids were making up ideas about what you'd put in, like piss and poo, and it was very comical. It was cute. So yes, we didn't do that in the end. I bought a plastic one, but lots of like little things kind of earmarked to bring in as the next sort of level of it.
Yeah, sure.
But overall, really positive in terms of like getting really conscious again of where. I think just how much stuff is in plastic. Like it's extraordinary, really.
Yeah, I kind of felt like, even though I was making all these decisions not to purchase plastic or have plastic in the purchases I'm getting, I'm still surrounded by plastic everywhere. Like a lot of my containers at home are plastic, but also in the workplace. I work in a workplace where there's plastic, so I'm handling it. And, a lot of this, my house, like a month isn't enough because I'm still using up the stuff that I bought that was in plastic. So I'm still handling the plastic bags and putting them in my bin. My bin's still got empty plastic bags of pasta or whatever in it, because I feel like if I keep this up in the future, it'll be nice to watch that sort of fade out as I use up all that stuff, and gradually my bin will be less and less full of empty plastic things. Mel, how did you go with your wine?
Well, I think I just had a general overall fail.
Fair enough.
If I'm completely honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just also been not a great month for me in general. So I think after our first interview, I kind of had forgotten. I know that sounds weird, but I had forgotten that I was going to visit an old friend in Western Australia. So I caught a plane.
That's all right.
It's all right. It wasn't plastic, was it?
The plane wasn't plastic.
But the food on the plane came in plastic.
Was plastic.
Oh, yes.
And, I went to Melbourne the night before, and I didn't know if I was going to get food on the plane or not, and I was staying at a friend's house. So they just gave me whatever was in their cupboard. So that was all plastic.
But you didn't buy that. That was a gift.
Yeah, but I feel like I could get away with pretty much all my failures this month by doing that. So I went over to my friend's house in Perth. I kind of said, just so you know, I'm doing this, but
yeah,
just, I don't know, we were just talking, I guess, about one time around dinner table. And then, you know, it was cool. It started that big conversation and all of that stuff. And I think the friend that I was staying with is collecting lots of the soft plastic that I think they're giving to Woolies or something.
to recycle.
Yeah. So like she was quite onto the recycling thing, but yeah, I don't know, it just didn't really feel like my place.
But it's cool that you had that conversation.
It was good to have the conversation, but it kind of also just made me quite aware of how easy it is to have conversations and then how hard it is to change lives. Not you know, saying that they need to change their life, but just in general, it's quite easy to have. Sorry, maybe I'm being a bit dark.
No, I think that's true. I mean, I think that's a criticism people have of social media advocacy and all of this stuff where people are like shouting into the void about these causes. But are you actually prepared to put your own life into discomfort for the sake of this cause that you're shouting about?
Well,
you know,
absolutely. What level are you prepared to go?
Yeah, and it made me, I think, going away and visiting my friend was quite a culture shock in general anyway, because I was in a suburb where all the houses are kind of the same, and you know, that's where they live, and so the closest access that they have to food is, I think it's an IGA or I don't know, maybe a little Woolies or something, but that's their shop. So we're really lucky that we have access to bulk food that's, it might be a bit more expensive, that's true, but we also have access to it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, there's that interesting access thing again. But they just didn't even have a choice. Yeah. I mean, they do have a choice if they go to Fremantle, probably.
Yeah, so it's a drive.
It's a drive with young kid. She's a couple months pregnant. Yeah. She's solo parenting. She's exhausted. Yeah. She's also working. So, you know, it's not in her realm of energy
possibility.
Capacity, all of that stuff. So it was just interesting to be in someone else's life and realise
it's hard.
Just a very different life.
Yeah.
And it kind of made me realise how different my life is, maybe. Yeah. Which is okay. So I did that, and then I ate all the plastic food on the way back. I was only there for like 6 days, 5 days.
On the plane.
Yeah. And then I got really sick. So I was like, well, I need drugs, and I'm going to make chicken soup. So I bought chicken frames that were in plastic, even though they were good chicken frames, they were in plastic, and I bought drugs, so Nurofen, and you know, I just kind of was like, nah, I just need to do this, and then bunked down at home. So I kind of didn't. I took a takeaway cup, my own reusable cup, to the airport to get coffee.
Oh, that's good.
Pretty happy about that.
And they let you?
Yeah, they were annoyed, but they did it.
Yeah, great. That's interesting, because one of my fails was medication. So I ran out of my asthma medication, my Ventolin, which is my reliever, and my preventative. Yes. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to die of an asthma attack for the sake of this. So I bought my little puffers, which have a plastic seal around them to, you know, and the whole thing. And I'm like, and I also bought painkillers and stuff like that. And I sort of thought, that's the medical world in general. Like, if I got hit by a car and was taken to the hospital, I'm not going to say, no plastic, as they unwrap their sterilised equipment so that they can save my life. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I feel like the medical industry, in some ways, if anything's going to be exempt, could be. But on that track, one of the things that came up for me was I've been doing my own tattoos, like home tattoos, and you buy needles that are sterilised, and they come in their individual little plastic packet. And I was like, oh, I really want to buy some more, but it's plastic free July. Do I just wait till the end of the month? Or, you know, and I kind of very briefly had a look online of how you can do it without using a sterilised metal needle, which is so high end, and you can do beautiful detailed work. Traditional cultural tattooing is done with sticks, bone, or bamboo, or sticks, or, you know, but I feel like there's ritual around that which involves knowing how to do it safely. And I don't know what the rituals are. I don't know how to make that safe, you know. And if you look online at the infections that people get when they do home tattoos, it can be hideous. So I was just like, all right, well, that's sort of on the edge of medicinal, but it's actually a lifestyle choice, luxury to do my own tattoos, you know, like it's not like I need it to live. I need it for my creative expression. But that's totally different. So I didn't end up buying the needles, but it was definitely something that came up for me. And then the asthma stuff was legitimately a medical need for me, and so I bought it and I was like, oh well, that's just a thing. You're listening to An Environment for Change, and in this week's episode, I'm speaking with Mel and Rachel about how we went during Plastic Free July and whether we were able to achieve that, which none of us did, actually, for various reasons. The next little bit of the interview is something that women have to face every single month, and I know a lot of women I know have thought about it a lot and have tried to find various solutions for their monthly period. If you don't want to hear this bit of the conversation, you can tune back in about 15 minutes and keep listening to us as we talk about Plastic Free July. But for the next 15 minutes, we're going to have a chat about periods and all the various things that women do to try and make that as easy and mess-free as possible in a plastic-free way.
I can't remember if we talked about it on air last time, but we did talk quite a lot about women having their periods, and I knew that I was probably going to get my period. Well, I guess it's a month, you get it sometime during the month, right? And so that was also an interesting thing, and we actually had that conversation as well around the dinner table at my friend's place who I went to stay, and one of my friend's sisters had bought the undies. Oh, yeah. Period-proof undies that you guys were talking about, and I had kind of half committed to doing the cup, but after I got sick and kind of was not feeling great, I just didn't. So, but I just
needed life to be easy at that point.
Yeah. But I think it was the same realization maybe as you, Rachel, in a different way of just kind of being, wow, even though I generally try quite hard, I was like, it's really hard to not use anything because it's just so predominant.
Yeah, it is everywhere. So Rachel, you are about to run a class. This is going to air on Monday morning, and you'll be running it that day, I think.
Yes, at 10 o'clock on Monday morning.
Oh, just as this episode ends.
Yeah. Great, so get them down.
So where is it being held, and can people just rock up?
Yeah, people can just rock up. So it's at the Ray Bradfield room. So after we had our conversation whenever it was, 3-4 weeks ago, we had a little chat sort of at the end, which was about off air about how to what are the options for plastic free periods, and I just sort of thought about it. I was like, oh, why don't I do a little presentation on it? So that's happening on Monday morning at 10 a.m. at the Ray Bradfield room, and
in Castlemaine.
In Castlemaine. So the beginning of that there'll be pretty much an hour just discussing the options and bringing a lot of samples along. I've done a lot of research in that time and called a lot of different companies to see who is producing something that's fully plastic free, and even discovered that a lot of tampons have plastic in them. A lot of pads have plastic in them.
I guess that's the leak proofness of it, is a plastic shield, isn't it?
Yep, that's right.
Do period proof undies have a plastic layer?
I actually don't know the answer to that. I haven't got to that. We did look at those. So the second part, just coming back to the presentation, the workshop, the second part of it is I've got Julie Red, who's a local sewing teacher, Julie Red Project. She's going to come in, and together we're going to make reusable cloth pads. So we were
rad pads.
Yes, really, really rad. We were in her studio last week, and we looked at a few different designs and looked on the internet for patterns and came up with something really simple and really great. And so part of that research also involved just the materials to use and how that's actually can impact women's health. So for example, I came across this whole heap of information, and there was a campaign in the United States in 2015 which was called Detox the Box, and it was looking at a couple of products that had known carcinogenics in the pads. So it was the fragrances that they were using in them, and also in tampons.
So the disposable pads that you buy and chuck out.
Yes,
and
that's right.
How pretty they make them. Yes. They make them as pretty as possible, so they put fragrance in them. And that's carcinogenic.
Yep. And so the campaign was about, okay, there was actually no laws around having to disclose what was in the product because it's considered a medical device, not a medication or something.
And it's also not being ingested, I guess, so that would make a difference too.
Yeah.
Is that pads and tampons or just
pads? And tampons.
Because tampons are kind of...
Yeah.
I mean, they're not ingested through your mouth.
No, but it's in your body.
In your body and walls, like body walls and blood and stuff.
Well, you actually, I believe you take in more through the walls of your vagina than you would if you actually ingested something as a food, because it's such a porous. So that was the whole side of it. And if you want to hear more about it, rock on down. And so we really looked at what fabrics we were going to use, and we decided to go with so the Rad Pad, which is one that probably many people are familiar with. They don't have any plastic in them at all, or no sort of PU lining like the nappies have, no waterproof lining. So we decided to go with a backing which is like a corduroy, and then the inside is an organic hemp and cotton absorbent pad, and then the top layer is merino with little snaps.
Wool.
So they're really awesome.
Cozy.
Very cozy. But there's the option if wool's like an irritant to someone, then you can put a cotton lining on the top. So
I used to live with someone back in the 2000s maybe, in a share house, and she got very excited about Rad Pads and started making her own with cloth that you could take out of it and wash and then put back in it and stuff. But I never loved them because they were so bulky and kind of like they'd slip around, and so I'd love to see your design and see if they're more comfy to wear.
I think they will be.
It'd be good to have really good instructions on how to clean them too.
We'll be going through all that. So these don't have a takeout. The insert is sewn in, the absorbent bit, but there's the option of doing one layer or two layers. So if you have like a heavy cycle, you can, or heavy days, you can use it. Yep.
Great. So I have used the period proof undies for a couple of months, and I got an American brand because I didn't know about the Australian brand at that point, and I'd be interested to try the Australian brand, which I think is called Modi Body.
They're the ones that I've got. So
I got the American brand Thinks, which has got heavily marketed several months ago, and I caved and bought some. And they were really good at first, but I did notice that I had to take several spares in little bags on the really heavy days, and I would just swap them out as soon as they started. They sort of leak around the edges a little bit is they're failing if it's a really heavy day. But I love them because they're really lightweight, thin, comfy things, and I think as long as you swap them out often enough. But they're not cheap either, like they're $30 or so per pair, but if they last you 5 years, that's great. A friend of mine was saying that because I've had this conversation a few times this month, she was saying that the period proof undies didn't really work for her 100%, but what she wants to do is wear a cup with those undies at the same time, and then just have all of that going on at once, I think. And I reckon if you had nice, svelte, thin Rad Pad type things with those undies, that would be a really good combination too. So
they're like a backup.
Yeah. Because I think one of the dangers of the Rad Pads is that you do bleed through. So the period proof undies would be a good solution for that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's so cool, Rachel.
I'm really pleased to have done that actually, because I've discovered a whole heap that I didn't already know.
And you already knew a fair bit, I thought.
Yeah. I did.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So I wonder, are you going to make like little information sheets or something to give out?
Yeah, I'll hand out some information sheets, and we'll look at the comparisons of costing, if you could go with this rather than that, and
the longevity of each item.
Longevity, and also the kind of health maybe concerns with using some things over others, and that kind of the main thing being the plastic or anything that might be added to the product that we don't know about because it's not on the box. So I'm that I've really
hidden stuff.
I've really looked at organisations or companies that are making a great product, and there's a few new ones around. There's more kind of popping up, and got the samples, so I'll bring those along and
awesome.
Excellent. Goodies.
I know that I'm not going to be able to make that time on Monday. Will you do another one by any chance?
Well,
there's the resources available.
Yeah, there's every chance. I'd like to be able to put that information up online at some point. Yes, but definitely the in the pipeline is the plan to run more of those makers sessions, because we're aware that it's in school hours, and there's probably going to be a lot of teenagers or school age children who'd like to come and have a go at doing that. So that will be on the cards.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right.
And if someone wants to hear the information again, I'd be happy to run it again.
Yeah, I reckon it's great. It'd be good to do it outside of work and or school hours, because I can't make it because of work as well. Because it's one of those things that we all do it quietly every month, and with the disposable stuff it's just endless, relentless. If you use a pad, the pad itself is made of plastic, got plastic in it, and it's wrapped individually in plastic, and it's in a plastic bag that it comes in, and it's just like, and it's all about hygiene and all of that stuff in theory, but I feel like we're emerging from that need to be as vacuum sealed in our lives. I just wanted to mention this, one of the companies, Bamboo Babe, they sent me heaps of samples, and their stuff is all biodegradable, and so there's no plastic at all in it, no nasties added to it. What sort of products do they have?
So they have pads. Yeah, they're really great pads. You can get free samples and then go on a subscription, so they'll actually send them out to you every month. Yeah, that's a really, really awesome product. And then I also contacted Lunette, which do the little cups. Yeah, they also sent out a great sample box, the Sustainable Period Project. So they're actually sending out their samples and other sustainable options to every high school in Australia by I think it was 2019. So
so they're an Australian company.
Yep. Yeah,
great.
Australia and New Zealand. So they're really good as well. So
that's Lunette.
Lunette.
Yeah. Nice. So, great.
Good stuff.
I love that people are thinking about this stuff and really coming up with some awesome solutions. I feel like as much as all of this plastic in our lives is about our convenience, we're smart enough as a species that when we need to, we'll come up with other solutions that are heaps better. And we're just given this stuff. Most of the stuff that's plastic wrapped is for cost effectiveness and hygiene. But it's actually like, if we think about it, we can do without it.
And convenience. It's like the top thing is
convenient and habit.
Yeah, it's a comfortable thing to be able to do whatever it is and then toss it out at the end and not worry about cleaning it up. Or
so we don't have to deal with it. We don't see it. Therefore, it's very easy to be cool with it.
And in some ways, it's a great thing that China's shut down and not letting us send our recycling to them anymore, because suddenly we have to actually look at this thing that we're doing, which is producing all of this waste. And we all, like as a nation and as individuals, are going to have to look at that and figure it out. And I think we should deal with it in our own backyard. Why should it go somewhere else?
I don't even know when that started. No one knew about it till they stopped it. I didn't know it was being processed offshore. Because it's travelling halfway across the world. Yeah,
it's crazy, isn't it? The amount of energy that's then taking to, move it somewhere else. Deal with it, because we don't deal with it.
You're listening to An Environment for Change. My name is Allie, and this week it's a catch-up session between me, Mel and Rachel, who all took on Plastic Free July. And we're talking about what happened this month as we tried to do that. So Mel, did you make any inquiries about the wine?
I actually didn't, because I was away and then I got sick. So, and in that time I didn't really drink wine. The wine that I did drink, actually when I was at my friend's house, we drank bottles, so no casks. And I've thought about our discussion, but I didn't do anything because I was kind of just out of it.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, but I can keep you in the loop if I do anything, because I still think it would be awesome.
Yeah, do keep us in the loop. And I feel like it's those sort of inquiries and that sort of thing that actually makes that stuff happen. It's just a matter of someone going, hey, would you guys do this?
Totally.
Maybe they would.
Yeah.
Well, I was on the lookout for cheeses, because I didn't want to have to, and especially like rennet-free cheeses. And I went to the big IGA and they just said flat out, no, they can't fill my container with stuff from behind the counter at the deli. So I went to Mulberry's and they were great. Anything behind their counter they were happy to, because they have big wheels of cheese or blocks of cheese and they'll cut it up. But some of it they already had wrapped in plastic, and I said, sorry, taking the plastic off, that doesn't solve my problem here. So she cut a fresh piece for me, and someone else can buy that one that's already got plastic around it. Oh man, I discovered, because I was also asking about rennet, which animal rennet in cheese is what helps cure it, but it's not vegetarian. So rennet-free cheese is what I try to buy as a vegetarian. And most of the cheeses did have rennet, but they have a cheap brie, and I love brie, that was rennet-free. And it was Australian made. And I'm like, this is awesome.
Wow. Well, who's making that?
I don't know the brand.
Yeah.
I should figure that out.
Yeah.
But I was so happy about it. But just a basic yellow cheese, they didn't actually have one. They have a lot of gourmet fancy cheeses. So there wasn't a basic yellow cheese that you do cheese on toast with or, put grate onto your pasta. But I did inquire at the smaller IGA, and they were happy to cut stuff and put it in my container if I bring it to them.
Cool.
And they said it might take a little while if you're happy for it not to be instant. And I was like, yeah, of course, that's fine. So that's good. There's that there. And I also went to Gringo's and inquired about things that I hadn't inquired about before. So I got maple syrup. I saw that they do indeed have sesame oil.
I got sesame oil too.
Great. And I took jars and I got detergent for the washing machine, because I was like, okay, so shampoo and conditioner, I believe they have that on tap as well, but and detergent, because those are the things that I will buy. Just grab a bottle and have it. And the detergent is made by a local woman.
Oh, right.
Or someone relatively local, and I felt like that was an even better solution, which is great. I haven't used it yet, though.
They used to have the soap nuts. I used to get those, and then I think they said people weren't buying them, so they ended up getting rid of them. But they were great.
Yeah. What else? I went to Gringo's and I got quite a few things there, and I was a bit happy about all of it. Like, I feel like it was a big step up for me, because I know they do all this bulk stuff, and I've gotten some nuts and rice and stuff from there relatively regularly. Felt like a bit of a win that day I went to Gringo's.
It does feel like a win, doesn't it?
It's definitely satisfying.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, cool. I'm kind of empowered with my own food decisions. That's how it makes me feel.
Yeah, definitely.
I do feel, though, as well, like, so probably my main way of dealing with stuff was changing the consumption habit in terms of eliminating something rather than actually there was probably a bit of both. There was sometimes looking for a different product, but then if it wasn't available, like if I couldn't get it in glass or cardboard or whatever, then the change would be in my consumption habit being I would just take it out. Whereas I think the next level is to really start being the voices that are saying, okay, well, yeah, what are the options, and contacting companies and saying, can you I guess that's how change happens, isn't it? Enough people doing that.
And how did you find people's responses in shops if you were asking them the next level? Because I had one woman just be straight-faced, I can't help you. But there was one time when I was in a shop and I was like, I wanted some takeaway food, and I sort of could have got the pizza, but I wanted the pasta, and I was like, so what's your takeaway option? Like, is it plastic? And he's like, oh yeah, we do have plastic. And he was trying to be really helpful.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh well, I guess I'll get a pizza. And then I saw that they had the metal containers with the cardboard lid, and I was like, oh, you do have those? And he's like, oh yeah, I thought you wanted plastic.
Yes, I can get pasta.
Yeah, and I got a really delicious gnocchi. It was great. And there was another one where I was like talking with a lady and just negotiating plastic bags versus something else, and she was so happy for me. Her response was just really positive, and I was like, oh, that's great. You as a shop assistant will give out plastic bags because it's your job, but maybe as a person you really don't want to, But did you have any responses from people when you were asking them to fill a container or to do something else that's out of their normal?
No, because I don't think I really did that. The only thing that I did was my takeaway coffee, like brought along a cup at the airport.
It's interesting. I guess at airports they're used to people having such small amounts of luggage space that they don't bring their reusable stuff.
That's right.
So they're not used to people being asked.
And you're on your way to somewhere where you probably don't want to have it.
Yeah. Because you said they were a bit grumpy about it.
Yeah.
I found the responses I got were great. Like, everyone was very willing to help out with what I was requesting, but again, there was times like I did actually have one day where I was out and I was like, because I haven't been drinking coffee, I didn't have my coffee cup, but I felt like a warm drink, so I was like, I'll go get a chai, and I was like, I don't have my takeaway coffee cup. So again, I just changed and go, well, do I really need it? Like, I actually don't really need it. So yeah, looking at that, what's that level of comfort that I'm prepared to drop, knowing knowing that I'm just going to take more plastic home if I go with it. Or, I just completely diverted on a tangent.
No, that was good.
There was. I had dinner with my uncle in Melbourne last week, actually, and we had that same thing. It was just two of us, and I think we were quite hungry when we ordered, so we ordered too much food. But they were so great because, I mean, sometimes you're not even allowed to take away your leftovers. And so, but it was that same thing, and I was like, it's plastic. I'm like, but that's okay. I can use it as paint things. I can use it as, because I don't have heaps of Tupperware, but I just will reuse those containers. Yeah. But, it was just kind of that thing again of, it's so ingrained in us that that's what you use.
Yeah, for sure. And I have used those takeaway containers from restaurants for putting the dog food in when I go to the dog food place. That's exactly what I took to them, because it seals and it's a nice thing. So there is ways to use it. And I got caught out today, even. I thought I was doing pretty well this month, and then today a friend of mine just had a baby and I was taking them lunch, and I went to a place and they gave us the food in a paper kind of container, which is awesome. And then I asked for some chilies on the side, and she gave me the sauces on the side, and I just went out and I hadn't even thought about it until even we'd eaten the meal, and at the end of the meal was when I went, oh no, because all of the sauces were in little plastic containers, and I was just like, I didn't even think of it. It was just so like normal that I didn't even think of it. We just really I think it's a huge change of habit that needs to happen, if there is no other option there for sauces, like if jars are too expensive or they're not prepared to do that and then take them back and wash them, then we eat in the restaurant, because we're all kind of on the go. It's like grabbing the coffee, grabbing the food, like we want to go, like who sits down and makes the time, and not saying that that's the case every time, like in your case today, but I think a lot of that stuff. Actually, I had an experience. I was in Melbourne for an appointment on Tuesday, and I had to buy lunch and my breakfast out, and I was walking around going in this big sort of buffet area, and it was like it was all plastic cutlery, and I was like, I didn't even think to bring my own spoon or my own fork, and I just was quite shocked. It was like, wow, there was so much stuff churning over, like plastic things being thrown in the bin, and and what a food court like that would see in a single day is just outrageous, isn't it? And when I think about taking my own, like, reusable cutlery in my bag or something, I just know that I'll use it and then put it back in its container, and it'll sit in my bag unwashed, and it'll just get so skanky. I just know I wouldn't maintain it very well. So I'm like, I wonder what I could do. Like, I think a lot of restaurants are now using bamboo implements and stuff like that, and I guess it's still a resource that requires production that is disposable, but at least it can be composted. But if it's being thrown in the bin with all the plastics and it's getting taken to landfill, then that's not actually a better solution.
No.
So,
and it's still that thing of what you're talking about, Rachel, of our actual consumerism habit. It's kind of just replacing the habit with something that we feel better about, rather than
absolutely.
I think the answer, or the solution there is, it's just tackling one habit at a time, not trying, like you were saying, or probably all of us, it's like, that's just too much, like I'm doing all this, and the amount of energy and consideration and planning that it takes, it can be quite exhausting. So to actually just go, all right, well, this is the first level, and then bring things in slowly.
Absolutely.
It's finding that level, isn't it, of not flogging yourself too badly, but trying, and then not flogging yourself too badly and not doing anything,
not giving up.
So finding how you can still do something.
But I do feel like this month has, for me, every time I've touched plastic, I've been aware of it. You know, so it's made me so much more aware of how much plastic is in my life. And even the stuff that I've already had in the house, or even long life plastic things. Yeah, it's definitely made me much more aware of where the plastic is, and that's a benefit on its own. Even if I didn't achieve the month completely, and even if I don't maintain it, at least I'm more aware of where it is.
Yep.
And I'm more confident now also just to ask, because quite a few times I couldn't see immediately whether the place I was at had a solution for me asking for it not to be wrapped in plastic or contained in plastic. And often when I asked, they did have a solution and were quite happy to provide it.
That's really great. We just take hold of that, I reckon.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I can get scared of it. I'm just thinking about myself. I'm like, be a bit braver. Mel, be a bit braver. It's all right. They can just say no.
Yeah.
They can say yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And if they do say no, then you get to just make a choice. And sometimes I've walked out, you know, and I've been like, all right, well, I'll just go across the road. And the next solution is not that far away often. But sometimes if the solution is too far away, or you're not going to get a meal because it's your only option, I would probably have the meal or eat in, or, you know, whatever it is that allows me to do that. But, you know, at least you then are making a choice about it rather than just taking it automatically.
Yeah.
You're listening to An Environment for Change on Main FM 94.9. And today I'm talking with Mel and Rachel, and we're catching up on how our plastic-free July month has gone. Some sounds you might be able to hear in the background are Rachel's kids, who were doing their very best to be quiet as possible, and actually did the most beautiful daisy chain and put it around my dog Bobby's neck and let her in by a lead of four-leaf clovers and daisies. But they were making a little bit of noise in the background, which is probably what you can hear.
I was going to ask, actually, or just raise, did anyone come across it in fashion or clothing industry? Because that's like one of the biggest, wasters of plastic, or consumers of plastic in fashion.
Which way?
Well, I'm just guessing it's packaging and the plastic hangers and the little, I mean, even every time you get something with a tag and you rip it off, there's a bit of plastic that, where does it go? I mean,
that's true.
Into landfill, most likely.
I hardly ever buy clothes, let alone new clothes.
Me too. But, you know, we are probably in a minority group of people, I think.
And that's what I meant about, that's right.
Other people live totally differently.
That's exactly,
I'm weird.
I just,
you're not weird.
I know, I know.
But you're an anomaly. When you look at statistically how Australians live.
You kind of feel like, oh yeah, no, it's not, you just actually, no, I guess you are the minority. Yeah. But even badges have their plastic. I love badges, that's why it made me think of that when you said fashion. That was the first thing I thought.
You could probably make those with I can't think of the word. You make like a seal. Like if you're making a collage, you can put a seal on it.
Oh, like a painted. But you know, anything acrylic is plastic. Like,
so that's acrylic.
Acrylic is a type of plastic.
You couldn't do it with like the flour and water kind of some.
Oh yeah, you can use oil varnish stuff, which is terps and oil, or you can use shellac, which is ground up bugs.
Oh yeah, I always feel weird about that. No, I've never used it.
Bugs.
Yeah.
Sorry, vegans.
All the painters out there that you.
I mean, maybe you're finding the bugs that have already died. I don't know how that works.
I don't know.
I really don't. I'm not meaning to offend anyone with that, but
Yeah, interesting, the fashion thing.
Yeah. And even like acrylic clothes, like I get itchy with wool, so any scarf or anything that I have is often an acrylic weave or a knit.
Yes.
Or, you know, so
and every time you're washing that, it's shedding the little, like if it's a polar fleece or a, you know, it's shedding tiny little the micro particles.
And the really soft wools are really expensive. I guess maybe the last question is, do you guys feel like you'll try and carry this on beyond this month?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, me too. I think I'd like to actually, I want to do the period thing. Yeah. Because I kind of, most of the other things, after hearing you guys, I'm like, oh yeah, cool, yeah. Especially the cheese. Yeah. But yeah, I think the period thing is definitely do it every month, and I would rather not. And every month it comes around and I'm like, I hate this.
Yeah. Not the period.
Well, sometimes that's,
you know, I'm hoping not.
Yeah. But yeah, what I buy, and I think it's also the money thing for me. I'm kind of like, this is ridiculous.
Amount of money each month.
And then I'm throwing it away. Like, I throw it in the fire, but it's winter, so I kind of feel a bit better about that. Even though I know it's burning up there, I kind of feel better about that option than putting it in the rubbish. But it's still not. It's the money, and it's like, I know that in summer I will throw you in the bin, and it's just gross. Like
you can compost them as well. I've spoken to a few women about who have been composting them. I pretty much use all reusable stuff, so I haven't done that. But like with the compostable nappy, I'm not sure how, in terms of like health stuff, how that works, but I think it's possible to do that. So you just have to get one that's like the Bamboo Babes, or the Natura, I think, is another brand. I'm not exactly sure the name, but so if you didn't want to go the full reusable, you could go for those others as a more convenient thing. And that's also more there's sort of like that, there's that whole kind of idea of, well, what do you do with it when you're out? Because if you're in the workplace, like, is it convenient to wash the cup out, or what do you do there?
Are you going to carry a used something with you for the whole day?
Yeah,
which I do.
Yeah, I was like, I do that already, because where I work doesn't, it's not always nice to put those sanitary things in a bin that we all use for everything else, because we don't have a toilet at work.
It's a big conversation.
It is. And I feel like with periods, it's also that thing where you just want to not have to think about anything. You just want to sit down or lie down, and your energy is really low, you're feeling heavy, and you just need it to be okay and not be a pain. And I feel like that's why a lot of women are just like too hard basket for that stuff. So I feel like the solutions need to be really easy enough for someone who really isn't feeling great to still do it.
But imagine if we were brought up with just this reusable or cup, or that's just what you do. We wouldn't even think about it.
No.
But we weren't brought up like that, so because that wasn't, I mean, they used to just use rags. And so,
or have a red tent and sit in that for a couple of days.
Or go away for a week because you have your period, and women will be in
or just have lots and lots of babies and never have your period.
Rest on the heavy days. Like, come on, workplaces. Where's our menstrual leave? Just, that's
really, it's huge.
There's change. It's good.
But Allie, sorry, to answer your question, definitely. And I would like to maybe because I'm still not really drinking much wine at the moment.
That's good.
When I kind of jump back on that horse again.
Can
you talk to the local wine guys? That would be cool.
Yeah, great. Well, maybe
inspired by our conversation.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
great. So this series has got like maybe a month left in it, so I might check in with you guys and not necessarily interview you again, but just check in where you're at with a few things and give an update for everyone.
Yeah, cool.
At the end of the series, see if you've conquered the wine.
That's going to be the everlasting.
I think it'd be so great if you did, though. Like, how good is that?
Yeah, it'll just make me want to be back in Spain.
Nothing wrong with that either.
No.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Allie.
Thanks for getting us in and having the conversation.
Yeah.
And then having them with everyone else out there.
Yeah.
It's great. It's really great.
Yeah.
Well, it is funny because every now and then, like, okay, so here's one more story. Last night was the brass band's AGM, and everyone brings a plate, and I thought I actually had the time pressure on me for this interview today, and I was like, I need to get cheese before the interview to know that I can, or if I can't, and how hard it is, So yesterday I was on a mission to get cheese, and then I didn't have time to actually buy anything for the AGM and my plate that I had to bring. So I took the cheese that I just bought, and then I bought some bread from the IGA, the mini IGA, IGB, and IGB, and I put it in a paper bag from the mushroom section. I grabbed some paper bags from the mushroom section so that I didn't have to use a plastic bag for the little bread that they bake on site, and took that, and that was great. But at the end of the night, there was stuff left over. I was just chatting to someone, and everyone else was packing stuff up, and I'd made a little plate of stuff that I would take home of the stuff that I'd brought, so leftover cheese and bread. And someone wrapped it in Glad Wrap for me as a favour. And I said, "No, I'm doing Plastic Free July! No!"
Well,
this does not make me glad.
I'm not glad about this wrap.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of sums it all up, really, doesn't it?
Yeah. But it was such a, like, they were doing me a favour.
Yeah, completely. Yeah.
But I've said that a few times. I'm like, no, I'm doing Plastic Free July. And so once it's not Plastic Free July, I don't have this greater thing, you know, I can't call on this external thing to say, this is why I'm doing it. I'll just be that person saying,
just your
do you know,
commitment to-
I'll be just self-righteous. I live plastic free, you know, and then I'll sound like a tosser.
No, but I think
No, you
that's the
won't.
scale of what we were talking about before, of like trying and not feeling ashamed about it and being brave, but also not flogging yourself too hard.
Yeah.
Yep.
And not
Yeah.
being too obnoxious about it either. Where you
Yeah.
put people off by being so self-righteous that you... You know, I feel like vegans did that a lot, or have done that historically. Like veganism, I kind of like the idea of in terms of sustainability and the environment. I think veganism is great, and there's lots of levels of it. But I feel like veganism gets a lot of flack in the general public. The same way vegetarianism used to, because often vegans, there's this story that vegans are all self-righteous and difficult to deal with, you know, and that doesn't help anyone transition to veganism. That image, that public image of vegans, doesn't help people transition to it, because they don't want to be that difficult person or that extremist, you know, in inverted commas. And I don't think vegans are extremist, and I don't think that it needs to be that way, but there is this public perception of it.
Yeah.
And so what I'm really saying is, I don't want to be that person around plastic that creates an image of the person who denies plastic as being that difficult, self-righteous person. I want it to be something that people just really organically want to accept into their lives, without it being an extremist position. You know, that's all I'm really saying.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Roll in the relaxed vegan. That's because I was vegan for a couple of years, and there was one situation actually where I had done a vision quest, and at the end of it, the food that was offered was dal and dal and dal and dal and dal for me, and I couldn't handle it anymore. And then there was the tuna and the cheese, and we were out bush for 10 days, so we didn't have a lot of options. It was all had to be keep for a long time, and eggs and stuff. And I went, I'll just roll with that, or relax a little into this is just what's being offered. But then there is that balance of when do you just relax and go, okay, this is just what there is, and when do you really stick to your belief, because it's, you have that. So maybe it's relaxed, plastic free. It's like, as much as possible. But if it's going to be, maybe it's slightly different to what you're saying. It's not the self-righteous.
I mean, on that note, I was at my brother's house, and they have bread wrapped in plastic. I'm not going to not eat that bread. Yeah, they've purchased it. That's their choice. I'm not going to refuse that and be. But I'm not going to purchase that for myself. And if I was purchasing bread for their family, I would purchase bread that was plastic free. Yeah. Which might not be the bread that those kids will eat, which might be a problem. Well,
that's pretty much exactly the same how I felt visiting my friend and staying in someone else's life, and I was pretty prepared to be okay with that, because I just don't feel like it's appropriate when someone's tired and
they're hosting you.
Yeah, completely. And we had a conversation, and that's fine. I think, I don't know, it might sound wanky, but like, I think your intention, it comes through with all of that, Allie. Like, if you're doing it because you want to do it for you, that's why you're doing it. You're not trying to, like, can be a weird converter.
Convert people to my weird plastic.
You haven't got a t-shirt on.
If it's something that you actually care about and want to do, you'll do it, and you don't need to necessarily, like, broadcast it.
No.
You know what I mean? And that, I think... you can just do it because you want to do it, and it's something you want to do and believe in.
And
I was actually just going to say, because I did sort of briefly talk about my kids, but my son at one point, we were talking about the cheese, and what are we going to do with the cheese, and here he is right now, and he just said, I actually don't even think I really want cheese, Mum. And, you know, it
what
was
we
like...
think people want.
Yeah, we were just, like, there was no, like, we can't have cheese anymore because it's got plastic in it. It was just, like, the conversation was opened around what are we going to do in this situation. And, yeah, seeing what other people are within, you know, within your realm of like who's around, what they're prepared to do as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of feel like there's a Buddhist idea that I've heard of, which is that the monks can, if they're out with their begging bowls on the street, they can accept whatever people put in it. And if people put a meat food in their begging bowl, they can eat that. But even though they've taken a vow to never take life or to kill, if it's given to them as a donation, as a generous gift by some householder, they can accept that and eat that.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel like there's, like, even within, like, the highest spiritual realms, there's sort of concessions that can be made, and understanding that intention does go a long way. And
yeah, well, absolutely, because what if that food then gets thrown out because you are righteous and you don't want to eat it? Then this is a big conversation, really, isn't it?
That's a whole nother one. Change. You have been listening to An Environment for Change, an 8-part sustainability series made possible by a community grant from the Mount Alexander Shire Council. You've been listening to me, Mel and Rachel talk about how we have negotiated Plastic-Free July, our wins and our losses through the month as we try to make our lives as plastic-free as possible. You can listen to this and other episodes of the series on the Main FM SoundCloud page. My name is Alison Hanley. Thanks for listening. Talk to you soon.